Hello my darling, this is the new books video. Now you can find it in Italian on Bluebeam's channel and you'll find that video as a video response to this one. But anyway, if you're interested in hearing pretty much the same reviews in a different language, here it comes. Now the first book I want to talk to you about is David Sedaris and it's called When You're Engulfed in Flames. The cover, as it often happens to me, was the main reason why I bought this book. It's a classic Van Gogh painting and it actually is related to what the book is about. This is a collection of essays and one of them is, how can I say this, a method to quit smoking. David Sedaris apparently tried it himself and it's easy and cheap. You know, all you have to do is move to Japan and it comes at the very affordable price of $23,000. Just in case your chemist ran out of nicotine patches. I find this book quite similar to the Woody Allen production, where absurdities of life are depicted with wonder and innocence. You may know him because he's also the author of Me Talk Pretty One Day. Now, since on the cover of this one, it said this book will save your life, on the same day I felt inspired, so I bought This Book Will Save Your Life from A.M. Holmes. It's a story of redemption, of awakening. It's a story of a man who's dead inside. Suddenly he is scared to death by something. And when I say something, panic attacks are involved. Now, I personally suffer massively of panic attacks, so this is something that I can easily relate to. After this big scare, he wants to, you know, come back to life. And he starts on this Good Samaritan crusade sort of thing. It's nothing new. It doesn't have the wit and humor that David Sedaris has. I found this, I think, really insightful review from Ron Charles of the Washington Post, and he said, it's like being awakened by a firecracker, shocking but not very illuminating. You know, this book will save your life? No, it probably won't. Very, very funny book. No word from Gerb. I read this in Italian. Originally, obviously, it's in Spanish. It's the story of an extraterrestrial who is stranded on Earth and his mission partner comes to Earth himself to find Gerb. The whole novel is made of captain's log entries. If I have to say something not so good about this book is that after a while you feel like you're just going down a stream of endless tweets. Now, I use Twitter myself, so I find it interesting. I realize that it can be tiring. I read some bad reviews about this that say that you can skip 10 pages and you won't miss a thing. In my point of view, humor is in the smallest phrases. So if you actually skip those 10 pages, you might miss a little humor jewel. This is one of my favorite authors ever. He wrote The Remains of the Day, and this is Nocturnes. The Oxford Dictionary definition of nocturnes is composition of dreamy character expressive of a sentiment appropriate to evening or night. Now, traditionally, feelings that are appropriate to evening and night are probably chagrin, regret, and melancholy. But I think that the feeling that you feel the most reading this is ennui. I think it's a feeling on the lighter end of the spectrum where the darker end is gloom and rage and black despair. On the cover it says 5 stories of music and nightfall. You have to bear in mind that Ishiguro is a musician himself. So I think he tried to put the evanescent qualities of music and dusk into these stories, and he succeeded. Because I think that, like music, you can find in this book themes that emerge here and there in the stories and are somehow disguised, you know. I think one of the themes is the perishability of love and talent, which rings a bell in my head, really, because I remember this Irish saying, I think it was, that goes, hope, just like milk, if kept too long, goes bad. And I also think it has another thing in common with music, and that is that when you read it, you sort of perceive the precision it's written in, but then it resonates in your heart much longer after the last note was struck. It's really poetic. I really like. I like the author himself, and I particularly like this book. I want to talk to you about The Lovely Bones. I avoided for years to read The Lovely Bones, and I've known of this book for ages, ever since Peter Jackson personally purchased the rights to turn this into a movie. I suppose I'm not giving anything away now by saying that The Lovely Bones is the story about a 14-year-old girl who's raped and murdered in the first chapter, and the rest of the book is the girl herself, her name is Susie, who watches from heaven her family and friends go on with their lives, and Susie too has to come to terms with her own death. I found this book difficult. The problem is that let's look at it like a math problem. Now, the numbers it's made of are not violent. Even when the violence and the murder are told, it's not made of violent words, but the result is very disturbing. It was very disturbing to me. And I think that the author realized this at some point of the story. Also, you have to bear in mind that the author, Alice Sebold, was raped herself. And since this is written on the cover, if you actually read that information, I think you're going to read the whole book thinking about this. And this is a additional burden on the story. The big flaw that I can find in this book is that at some point it gets so keen to comfort you and to make its words safe that actually the effect it created in me was the opposite. You know, when somebody keeps telling you it's alright, it's alright, it's alright, you suddenly know it's not alright. I haven't seen the movie yet. I just checked on Rotten Tomatoes, I'll put the link in the sidebar, and it rates it 33%, which is not good. But anyway, I don't want to say anything about this because I want to see it as a SAP. I was supposed to go and see it yesterday night, but I'm sick again. Yay. Another book I want to talk to you about, it's This Charming Man from Marian Keyes. Again, I chose it because of the cover. Can you see the silver stars? Yeah. Marian Keyes is normally a funny / serious / perfect observer author. And you can find all these characteristics in this book. The story starts with the announcement of an engagement and 4 women reacting differently to this piece of news. In this book, I couldn't find any laughing out loud moments. The parts on domestic violence are graphic and disturbing. It's still funny. I mean, there are moments of warmth and humor. Now, the last book that I want to talk to you about is probably going to open a new section in these books videos, and I would like to call this section maybe not, or not really. Probably not really. Okay, the not really book of this month is Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Now, you have to know something about me before we continue, and that is that I adore zombies. I like traditional zombies, the ones that go slowly like this. I love running zombies. I like rabid zombies like 28 Days Later. Seth Grahame-Smith is cocky enough to put himself and Jane Austen as authors of this. And there's really not much to say on this aside from the title, because it actually is Pride and Prejudice plus zombies. If you want to read this, you have to bear in mind that it's fun. It's supposed to be fun. Doesn't always is. If you want to read this, you have to provide the irony in your eyes as a reader. I personally didn't succeed in this. I personally sometimes found the depiction of Mr. Wickham offensive. Now, Mr. Wickham is the villain, let's say villain of Pride and Prejudice, and here he is a paraplegic who craps himself all the time and stinks. And I mean, it's like a fart joke. It's not that funny. Fart joke can actually be funny, but you know, you have to keep it quick, because otherwise it's just quite sad and offensive, as I said. So, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies is the not really book of this installment of books. It's books 9. I hope I managed somehow to suggest you something to read. I'd love to hear your opinion about this, so you can write it here in the comments. Since I've been continuously sick lately, I've been reading a lot, so I think I'll be ready with books 10 quite soon. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!